This is the sixth event here this year. I appreciate you guys. Many of you guys have been out here multiple times. I'm excited to, one thing in my 20 years in real estate I realized is if I start thinking what we're going to talk about here today, the next year is always killer. Sometimes those years where January 1st sneaks up, you wake up, you're like, shit, I haven't done anything to get ready for this year. So we're starting this early. You guys might still be closing out some of your 2024 stuff, but the mentality here, these next 45 days where things are slowing down, hopefully, or at least you're having more downtime, or your inbox is quieter, or your W-2 job is wrapping up, whatever it might be. This is kind of the time of year you want to think about. Who I am, I was born and raised not too far from here. I live in St. Charles, married 14 years, father of two. W-2 to real estate in 2003 at 22 years old. So I held a W-2 only to get my property financed and then quit. Partner here at GC, 21 years, founder. Podcast, we're going to hit 5 years next year. That's crazy. Our goal is to do like 20 and see what happens. So I'm really excited about that. Between 08 and 18, we did 482 BRRRR properties. I've done a bunch of other random investing as well too.
I'm sorry, what's BRRRR?
Buy, renovate, rent, refinance. Yeah. Okay. So call it cash out type stuff. Buy it cheaper, add value, and then cash out. We really love my career investing is going to this buy and hold industrial. Big fan of that. And then I don't know if it was FOMO, but for the last few years, I've wanted to get back into just buying Class A properties and just holding them, even if they don't cash flow, but just because kind of where single family suburban market's going. So now when I say not cash flow, I'm saying I got to have some cash flow. I'm not looking for anything killer. So I'd rather have an awesome property, make a few $100 and hold it for 20 years. I've leased over 5,000 units in my career, managed over 6,000 residents, included over 60,000 maintenance work orders. That's, I did the math on that. No. My wife will tell you like that's like. So I always tell people, you want to listen to somebody. You're all here listening to me, or at least following someone might lead. I've messed up a lot. I always say, on the 482 units, I made $1,000 mistakes. So think about it. It's $1 million of problems I created for myself or lost revenue-wise. But between the podcast, all the clients, I watch plenty of other people mess up too. So I try to take everything between what I do, what other people do, and bring it out to a place like this. Just some kind of things going into 2025. Anyone heard of this Landlord Retaliation Act yet?
What is that about?
I won't go too deep in this because it's still trying to be contested, but ultimately there's legislation that passed that technically if a tenant feels, and this is an Illinois thing, it's not like, oh no, I'm not investing in Chicago, this is an Illinois thing. If they feel like you're retaliated against, they can take you to court. And the weird part of this is you can end up having to give possession back, years later. Like it's a real weird, messed up wrong thing, but that's on the horizon. Process serving changes. You don't have to go to the sheriff in Cook County anymore. This is actually good news. Anyone hear about this? So this is great. So side note, you hear a lot about 5-day notices, posting or not posting. In the Collier counties, so outside of Cook, if you have in your lease that I'm allowed to serve you by posting notice on your door, you don't have to go through trying to hand deliver for eviction type scenarios. So that's something I learned recently that I just want to share. We're going to put that in our leases as well too in the suburbs. Northwest Side Preservation Act. This sliver. I mean, I say sliver if it's big for anyone that's hurting, but the few neighborhoods that are affected. But the big fear is where does this go with the rest of the city and how they went through. So, and tenant advocates are hitting stronger. We talked about the Northwest Side Preservation on the podcast a few weeks ago with 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁. So, and I have a lot of QR codes in here. Monday morning, I'll email this PDF out to all you guys, and you guys will all have it. So, but tenant advocates, man, it's hitting harder this year with rents going up and tenants and housing stock going down. The tenant advocates are hitting harder, and they're not necessarily coming out with any plan. They're just saying you're bad, you're doing this wrong, and you're getting in trouble for it. And we're on this side saying, as landlords, like, man, there's risk. I got money. I can't lose. I can't do that. And like, there's nothing in the middle. And this is going to be a big problem we're going to have years going forward where topics like rent control and all that stuff come up. So finding some sort of middle is something that I'm determined to do, or at least bring people together. It's nationwide, but these called blue states, it ends up being much of a bigger topic. A lot more advocates here for the tenants than in middle Kentucky. All right, so I'm going with my goals for 2024. My goal is sort of BRRRR 5 Class A single-family homes in DuPage or Kane County. Buy 3 industrial buildings. Increase our units under management by 10%. Grow our tenant placement, just lease-only service, by 100%. Complete 6 in-person investor trainings. And complete a crazy fitness event. Stay married. The funny thing about, when you make goals, you always want to have like a very clear, the whole acronym of SMART goals, measurable and attainable and all that. And for so many years, it was like, be a better husband. Like, dude, I think I'm being a better husband, but she does not agree. So I needed a better metric for measuring it. So I'm like, you know what, at the end of the year, I'm still married. Like, I got to be doing something halfway good. All right, so market challenges 2024. You guys talked about some of them already. We talked about inventory. We talked about what else we got? What else was trouble in 2024? Rates, that was a big one we talked about. Insurance. Overall costs, yes. What else? What's up, man? What other challenge do we have this year? Interest rates, that was top of my list when I put this together. Inventory stayed low. Prices climbed. Competition increased. I think every year you have a different group of people that want to get into real estate investing. I think this is more and more as the years go on because we're less of a world where it's like go to school, get a good job, and retire with one company. That's going away more and more over the years, and more people are looking for other ways to grow their net worth or get out of their W-2 job or financial freedom, whatnot. So every year your competition is increasing. Rental rates leveled out. I don't know, anyone, so you guys might not have felt this, but especially if you had tenants move out after a few years, but if you had a turnover from 2023 to 2024, you're at the same price, if not a couple bucks lower, depending on what time of year you're at. So that's something that has not really been topic of conversation. This year, these are official studies by Shomojo, the amount of price drops going on the market. You go on the market 1,500 and you got to drop it 2 or 3 times. That's like at an all-time high, like over the last 20 years. So that means people are trying to get here, but the market's only going to pay here. Longer times to rent. So overall, higher cost of entry. We talked about insurance. If you're getting financing, the make sure you get points seem to be higher and those type of fees. Outside of conventional, FHA or conventional Fannie-backed financing costs have gone up. Your portfolio type stuff.
And what about the change of office space to industrial? Has that happened before, or is this the first time in 2024 where there was a major shift in the type of real estate that you could invest in?
Yeah, no, you're going through a lot of those major shifts with real estate. If anything, a lot of industrials became so popular just because a lot of retail's gone industrial. And then if anything, I can only imagine where we're at right now with retail if all this medical space, taking a whole old Jewel and putting, or old Dominic's and putting the whole medical suite in there. All right, 2025. What do you think we're going to be up against challenges? Throw it out. Possible recession. Interest rates again.
Inventory. The thing you talked about.
Everything the same. You guys know this now. I didn't have a recession in there, but no matter what, I think if you do it right investing-wise, there's different. Actually, it might even open up opportunities even with stuff. So we're going into 2025. Some of our 2024 goals unsettled. We didn't get them because of certain things. We're going into the same exact thing here next year. Root causes that have been making it challenging. So I always hear people access to money. Access to inventory or right opportunity. Just call it inventory. What else? What else makes it a challenge for you guys to get deals done or get your 4th deal of the year or your first deal?
Access to people who want your properties.
People from the sell side, yeah. Access to time. You guys all use more time, right? If only I had a few more hours a day, right? So these are the 3 things. I kind of aggregated everything that everyone always tells me, and these are the 3 reasons why people usually tell me these are not the market conditions. These are the own self. I think all of our goals fall into 2 buckets. It's external and internal forces that either help us work against or for us, usually against. So access to money access to inventory and access to more time is the three kind of big things for us. Overcoming these challenges, interest rates. Just need to find more inventory at a better price, right? So a lot of these things trace back then to specific things. Yes, you can't make things work because interest rates are up because you're looking at a specific pool of inventory. Inventory stayed low. All right, so you got to find, I don't know how many people bought off the MLS this year, but I realized that is a joke. If you're sixth or seventh in line, you're lucky. Inventory stayed low and it ends up just being more inventory. You got to find it more. That's your challenge. Prices climbed. Now, it was a weird thing this year, and I don't know if this will fall into 2025, but when interest rates went up, two things either happened. It either eliminated it from the investment opportunity and it just became owner-occupied type housing stock, or it was something where you had to wait for the seller to kind of recognize it. So I think we spent the first half of this year with sellers kind of coming in line of like, hey, if I do have this investment property or this 4 flat, if I'm going to sell this to another investor, my prices are going to come down because what I'm trying to sell it at, their numbers aren't working for. So it's kind of, the prices climbed have kind of done two things. It's taken housing stock out of all of our chances for opportunity, or we sat on the sidelines the first half of the year. But it goes back to inventory. If you got that guy that's wholesaling over in DuPage County sitting in the back of the room right now on your Rolodex, that was an old word, and your speed dial, then you're good. Competition increase. All right. Your competition, the people that are coming to the market, they're probably trying to look off MLS, but that ends up being an inventory thing. Rental rates leveled out. So now, I watched so many people the last few years do these projections of like 3, 4, 5% year over year of the rents going up, like it wasn't going to stop. So now all of a sudden people that are pricing out, they hit this wall. It's like, oh man, I might be steady on rental rates here for the next couple of years. But again, just finding more inventory. Longer times to rent. That's something that just kind of getting the right rental rates and finding the right inventory. Overall, higher costs of entry, money, access to money. Now, I trace this all back to the third thing that I put on the previous page. If I had my clicker, I lost. I go through these clickers because I always lose the damn USB thing. So, but time. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is time. For me personally, and I'm going to go over why I failed on some of my goals here, it ends up being time. We all have the same amount of time, and certain people just do better things with their time. Has anyone read the Walter Jacobson, Elon Musk biography? Man, the amount of speed that Elon Musk runs. Now, don't get me wrong, he's superhuman and he's from another world, but man, if we ran at 10% of his speed and his mindset, the whole... Still, when you start investing in out-of-state properties, I'll let you use that, all right? Sam Walton had the plane too. He flies store to store, so that there is something there if you're going out of state. But time, we're all spending it 24 hours, and how we spend it, and how we allocate it, and if we're delegating out, or if we are finding the right people to help us with the task versus trying to figure things ourselves. I always use an example. For me and Tom, when we went to start the podcast, we spent 8 weeks just trying to figure out how to get on iTunes. I was complaining to a friend. He sent me somebody in Florida who actually still produces our podcast today. Within 8 days, we were on iTunes, and fully running. She's waiting for us to record. It's like, oh man. So I spent all that time when I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. So a lot of the way we spend time is how we overcome some of the things. Time, for me, for the birds I was doing, I realized I kind of put some estimations to this. For each of the birds I was looking for, I probably spent about 35, 40 hours going through properties, looking through them on a daily basis. And finding properties, a lot of times it's just having a system of looking at 100 properties a day. That was my goal. It's like I want to look at 100 properties a day, and I set up my searches to make sure I was getting enough feed for it, or the wholesale network, people that are in my network. So it ends up just being some of these numbers you back in. But I figured that takes me half hour a day to look through those 100 properties. And it's really easy. I didn't look at it today. I'll look at 200 tomorrow. Then it's I didn't look at them tomorrow because something happened with my kid. Now I'm at 300. So at the end of the week, I didn't look at shit yet. But that sets everything off. You do that, you have one bad week, then it kind of does a change. So how you're spending your time is huge. Anyone know what day this is? Friday, June 2nd, 2073. That's the day I'm going to die. According to 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.com, where you could go and you could enter your everything about you. It gives you a date. And I did this a couple years ago. I'm like, oh man, it became real to me. It gave me a moment for me to put my actual bucket list in writing. We all talk, I guess, on my bucket list. Like, I never had one in writing until last year. And then I'd put my bucket list in writing. I'm like, shit, I got to do like 2 of these things a year for the next 50 years if I'm even stand a chance and be lucky enough to live to this date. So I think when you really start looking at time horizons, it's huge. Now, the one thing, I'm a big 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁 fan, the one thing he always says is people they overestimate what they could do in a single year. They underestimate what they could do in a 10-year span. And we all fell guilty to that. And when you start looking at things on a larger horizon, we're talking a lot about 1 year right now, but 1 year doesn't have to be accomplishing everything. 1 year has to be, I took the right steps into accomplishing those things. So when you're setting your goals, like that's something to think about. But yeah, this death clock, my wife thinks I'm a freak. My kids, my daughter got sad. I'm like, no, that wasn't the goal. That wasn't the goal. Look at all. Because I put on my bucket list, I put on the top of there that date, and it's hanging on my wall. So it's something that.
Do you have a countdown timer?
No, they have that. That is a thing. That is a thing. Threw this in here, an advertisement. If anyone knows, there's 2 episodes we like to do. We like to do neighborhood ones. So if you know anyone that's experts in a specific neighborhood, we like to go deep. And expert meaning, you've been there for 10 years, you've got maybe 50, 60, 100 units. We like that. And then the other one we want to do, we already gave the title. I bought an off-market property and it all went to hell. We don't know who the guest is yet, but if you know that guest, that's the title of the episode we want to do.
We don't want to be the guest.
I'm hoping it's not you guys, but I'm hoping you got a guy. All right, so going back to my 2024 goals. 5 Class A properties, I did 3. Now my and I'll even share with you where a couple of things I went wrong on. I did 3. My goal is DuPage or King County. I did the 3 I did. 1 was in DuPage, 1 was in Bartlett, Cook County, and then 1 was in Hoffman. So I did 2 in Cook. Now, my other part of where I was buying is I did not want to buy neighborhoods that had rental license. And the one in Hoffman Estates we were trying to do the right thing. We replaced HVAC. Because we weren't trying to do the right thing. We were trying not to get in trouble when they came around for the rental license. So we got the permit for that. They ended up saying, all right, that's great. HVAC's passed, but now because of that, you got to upgrade your panel. Totally threw us off. So had I stuck in DuPage County and towns that don't have strict rental license, we probably would have been further along. 4th, I'm going to close on with that as well too. Now, the one with Cook County, the 4th one is actually in Cook County, Schaumburg, but it's unincorporated, so I can justify that, and there's no rental license for that. Something that I did do on one of these burrs is I moved in a family member. And the one thing that you could do with property taxes is you could get the homeowner's exemption if your tenant is paying the property taxes. So this family member signs an affidavit saying that they're going to pay the property taxes. I'll give them the money every year to pay the property taxes, and they'll get that homeowner exemption. So that's a kind of loophole. Now, there's entire companies that went down in turnkey companies in the south suburbs that did this like hundreds at a time. Not legit, that made the news 15 years ago. So you can't do it on a mass scale, but if you have one-off type family, you got to deal with the family part, so you might as well take advantage of getting a little less taxes. One other thing that I'll tell you too about property taxes, if you have a Section 8 property or tenant in a neighborhood that is above a certain minimum threshold of local income or whatever, so if you have a property in a better neighborhood, it's worded that way, you can get a tax exemption too. It's not an exemption, but you could get a credit back or something like that. So
How do you reach out for that?
I don't know. You could probably Google Cook County or DuPage County DHA property tax credit. If you can't find it,
Look on the hack site, I think
yeah.
it's got the map. It's got the list of all the zip codes.
Yeah, Cook County too. Yeah, so there's certain ones that qualify. So I know.
You mentioned Thursday in the weekly update about Section 8 requiring you to accept Section 8s. Do you have to be qualified as a Section 8 renter or landlord?
No. So anyone can. You have to just your property has to pass the inspection.
Oh, okay.
You have to pay your property tax, I guess. You can't be in arrears on that, so that is a qualification, technically. So I didn't get 5. I'll have 3 and 4 I'll probably purchase.
How did you acquire them? Were they on market, off market?
They were all wholesalers. They're all off market. So, but that I spent the first 2-3 months writing MLS offers. So that was big. Buy 3 industrial buildings. I didn't buy 3 industrial buildings, but what we did is we came across 2 off-market industrial buildings, bigger buildings, that we finally jumped in. We've been doing syndication paperwork with attorneys for years and never kind of followed through. And we followed through on this one, so I'm excited. That's what he was talking about. If anyone's interested in this, we're buying a building in Lisle and Mundelein, and we're raising, I think it's around $4 million, so about $10 million worth total buildings.
What do you plan to do with those buildings?
Throw raves. No. I say it, we used to do that when we were kids. But no, they're just rent them out.
Okay.
And we love commercial. I always tell people industrial is Monday through Friday and no domestic violence. So, a lot of times in these commercial leases, it is the tenant's responsible for everything. They're not calling about the toilet because technically they're responsible for repairs up to so much. Or they're not calling for the HVAC because they're required to maintain it. We're required to replace it. So there's a lot of cool little things about that. Increase our units for the management company under 10%. Now we didn't. We had a lot of people sell things off. But the one thing that I did learn this year, the one thing I learned that we've been doing that I hear, I'm big on biographies and listen to other successful business owners talk, is if you control your costs and you run slim, you can do just as good. We actually grew financially, we just didn't grow under units. So we're able to run a slim operation. Slim might not be the right word because that sounds bad, but just efficient. Grow tenant placement by 100%. Man, we grew it by 200%. It might even be more than that. So we're going to probably do 100 lease onlys by itself this year. So that's kind of exciting. Complete 6 in-person investor trainings. You guys are all part of complete my one goal today. I appreciate that. And then create a crazy fitness event. I realized 3 years ago, I love training for things. It's part of the kind of goal-oriented thing. And then I did the rim to rim to rim in Grand Canyon. And then this year I'm like, man, I love that so much. So I did the 29029, which is, that's how tall Mount Everest is. And you climb up it, you climb up a hill in Salt Lake City like 13 times, and that equals that height. It was horrible. I love ranches to invest in. I love ranches to live in. I hate stairs. It was about 4 steps in. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I hate stairs. But I got it done. So, and stay married. I'm good. So, but all of these things here, I wasn't bad. I could have done more, but it came down to time allocation. I could have outsourced some things. On the Burr, I kind of let some of the partners move on some stuff that if I would have kind of laid out what the expectations were, we could have maybe moved faster. I don't know. So for me, I looked at kind of the goals I set. I think people run into 2 problems: too many goals or not enough goals. If you have too many goals, it kind of fragments your time, your attention, what we're talking about, unless you're good at it. And if you have one hardcore goal, then that sometimes might be better. Not big enough goals. I think it's easy to know your goals aren't big enough is if you're accomplishing them every year. It's not bad you guys didn't accomplish everything, but at the same time, there could be 2 sides to that. Either A, you have small goals and you're just not getting shit done, or you have your goals just aren't big enough and you're just getting it done, and there's probably more you could be doing. So there's 2 books that I think are big for this time of year that I want to share with you guys. 12-Week Work Year. Anyone read this? So this really helps you plan and break down. You're not working to this is not a Tim Ferriss type 4-hour work week or anything like that. That's why I actually passed this book for a long time in my recommended books. But it's really about chunking it down to 12 weeks at a time. A lot of times you're setting these goals up. You're going to do it for the next 12 months. But taking that and saying, first quarter, this is what I'm going to do. I might buy 6 next year, but first quarter I have to get 1 done to ramp up the speed for me able to do 2 in the fourth quarter, whatever it might be. But it's a good book. It's an easy listen. I don't know if you guys are audio or reader, but it's good. And Who Not How. How many people read this? All right, just a few of you guys, but this is huge. This is the finding the who and not the how to do it. This is the Mark finding the person that could put me on iTunes and not spending 8 weeks trying to figure out how to do it. we all have individual skill sets in here. You know, one might be better organized, one might be better researcher, one might be better getting in rooms like this and networking. Man, whatever your superpower is, hone in on it. Whatever you suck at, figure out who else can do it for you. Have you guys ever figured out what your hourly rate is? It's important. You take maybe what you make a year, divided by how many hours you're working, and that's kind of your hourly rate. If that hourly rate's not that big, then that means you got to take that number, figure out how much you want to make a year, and divide it by how many hours you want to work a week, and that's what you're worth, an hour, and that's where you help you make decisions. Like, all right, should I figure out how to put together this thing on Canva right now, or should I have somebody that knows how to use Canva? Because my hour time's worth $175, and I could get so and so to do it for $10. I do it with my kids all the time. Like, listen, I have these 2,000 emails I got to scrub. Like, I'll give you $100 to do this. Like, it'll literally take me 2 days to do it, and I'll be too detailed because that's the other thing. I'll go into projects where it's like it's got to be perfect, it's got to be lined up. The bullet points aren't straight, so I'll spend 5 minutes doing that. Like, it's a horrible waste of my time. So understanding kind of who you could contract stuff out to, who you could partner with. A lot of we talk about in the podcast a lot. The perfect partnership is a guy that knows how to do Excel spreadsheets and a guy that knows how to use a hammer, or hire the guys that hire a hammer. And those are two different skill sets. If you're trying to do both of them right now, I know there's one that you're good at, and the other one you kind of like you do it because you got it, right? So it's huge for me. When we did 482 Burrs, my one partner is a construction guy. I'm not the construction guy. I'll figure out how to get the money. I'm happy to do so. So these are great 2 books that you should consider here for the rest of the year. Another kind of big thing going into the year, talk to your accountant. Something that's changed in your life, kid, divorce, married. Not divorce for me because I'm working on that. IRS withholding calculator. Again, I'll send this out so you have that link for you self-employed people. For you people that are almost self-employed or are going to have your first kind of bills. If you buy or sold a property, fraud, there's a lot of fraud that goes on around people filing claims or tax returns under yours. You could set it up where you have more protection. Beneficial ownership requirement. Mike, what is the beneficial ownership requirement?
So if you have an LLC, S Corp, partnership, C Corp, any of that stuff, FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, wants to know who owns that business. For purposes of, if something bad is happening to those businesses, they're going to go after and they're going to have a whole list of people who own all this stuff. So that's why they're doing it, to stop money laundering and all that stuff. The good thing is that it's pretty easy to do. It's like 3 sections. It's like the name of the company, information about the company, information of the person who filed for the company, and then your information, the beneficial owner's information. It's like a PDF. And you can complete it right on the FinCEN website.
So this is different, because I file a financial report every year with the state.
Yeah, this is different. This is Financial Crimes Network, so this is like a federal thing. So I mean, it shouldn't take long. Like I said, it's a pretty easy lift, and there's companies out there that'll do it. We're not doing it because if you screw it up or if the person lies to you, there's big fines. It's like $590 a day if you're late. And I don't know how they're going to enforce that, but that's what they're saying. You can also go to jail and have a $10,000 fine if you are found to be misrepresenting yourself there.
Is there a fee to complete this document?
There is no fee to do it yourself, but there's other companies, and the going rate seems to be about $250 to $300.
And it's on, how do you get there? What's the website, FinCEN?
Just Google FinCEN BOI, or if you just do BOI, but definitely go to like the FinCEN website and don't go to the sponsored ones we're trying to get you to do.
On Monday, I'll send you guys out the link. You give me a link, and I'll send out the right link to
Or you
everybody.
can reach out to me or Mark, and I'll send you the information.
Thank you.
And then there might be some tax changes coming in 2026, you're thinking?
Yeah, so the Tax Cut and Jobs Act is sunsetting in 2025, so that means tax year 2026. There's gonna be some big changes. So just be in touch with your tax advisor or sign up for some newsletters just to follow what's gonna happen, because if nothing changes and they let everything sunset, there's basically gonna be a $4 trillion tax increase to the American people. If they keep everything the way it is and keep the Tax Cut and Jobs Act going, that's gonna be a $4 trillion increase in the national debt, and that's not good for either situation. What's likely gonna happen is somewhere in between that's gonna actually happen, and there's gonna be winners and losers on this big time. So depending on where the chips fall, it's gonna be how you come out with this. So no one really knows. The way I think about it is when they're talking all the stuff on the campaign trail, that's the beginning of the negotiation. And in reality, it's going to be somewhere less than that, but we don't know because they haven't done it yet. And they passed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act with like handwritten stuff in the margins, so it's not an exact science. So we'll see. Just keep tuned to your tax advisor.
All right, so what I heard there is grind it out so you have enough money to write that check. Grind it out, make the money. Is that I think we got the link already, so
Yeah, that should be it.
cool. All right, man. Mike is sponsoring this today, and maybe I haven't said that enough, but Mike has donated a $150 gift card to Topgolf for one of our lucky winners. Mike, you want to say anything about your service that you offer?
Yeah, like I said, we specialize in small business owners and real estate investors. We're literally probably 200 feet down the road, so not far from here. And we've been in business since 1977, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Any help, anything you guys need, reach out and I can help you out.
And you gave us a QR code for your calendar link.
Yeah,
So
that's a calendar link, so that's for the intro call, so 15 minutes.
and you talk to people for free, right? You're not going to whack them on the first
Yeah, so
whack?
the first one, yeah, we just see if we're a good fit and see if we want to work together.
And they'll do GC taxes for free.
And
We do not use him for full disclosure. Like,
and then Topgolf, just full disclosure, I'm not good at golf. So I tried to go with my son and he beats me and he's so not a great golfer.
I just have a good drink there.
Yeah, that helps.
my son's 13. He started hitting golf balls in the backyard. We have 2 acres, but I was like, all right, we're good until he connects on one. Like, so then he connected on one. I'm like, all right, you're done. Like, no more backyard. All right, anybody out there? Like I said, we're promoting our lease only. I always tell people that's a time suck too. So if you're going to talk about time, we like I said, we've done thousands of tenants. We're always down to help you, even if it's not full management. So, all right, and I got one more gift for you guys. So I told you guys I would do it. I brought. I believe in this book so much. I got a copy for each one of you guys here. So before you go, I want you guys to grab this. I wasn't expecting to clap, but this book is a game changer, especially if you're trying to look at what your skill set is, what you're trying to do. Now, one of the big chapters in here is you don't have a problem if you have money. But what I really took from that chapter, and you'll hear about, is it's not big money. Like, you don't have to go hire a $60,000 person to offload stuff. Like, especially in this era that we live in, or new way of living in gig work. Like, we hire 20, 30 people to do different projects online every year, and it might be your wholesaling or your canvassing or whatnot. So before you guys all leave, we got a copy of this. The $50 gift card. I didn't announce that. Sorry.
Pick a number 1 to 31, and I'll tell you who the winner is.
No, I already picked it out. Yeah. So Daniel Baker is who we pulled out this morning. So. Daniel doesn't like golf, so it's up for sale for $100. All right. For anything else, we could open up to any general conversation you guys have right now. What helps me is you don't have to hire me, but I'll just take a review if add any value, and I appreciate that. And then my other thing that came up halfway in the middle of the year is trying to grow my Instagram. I'm years late to the game, but I have something to prove to my kids. So follow me on there. I try to put halfway entertaining or informational stuff on there. So, all right, guys. Questions, thoughts?
Yeah, you had something on the slides talking about tenant placement, you increase placement or whatever. What are you doing to measure your quality of placement?
So for us, I think for the investor, for me personally, I want people in there as long as possible. And I can't necessarily, if you put a qualified person in there that hits a certain, qualifications, then you have a better chance of them at least performing. You have a better chance of the owner liking them and doing right. It sucks because no matter what, it's a relationship, and you do more things for people you like. So our measurement is usually time and place. Renewal rate, yeah. So for right now, so as a property management company, we're at about I think it was like 40.3 months or whatever on average. I think the Chicago market average is like 31 months. So Obviously, as property manager, we can control the entire experience. We can't necessarily deal with tenant placement, but we always encourage people to, be awesome landlords, so people don't leave. Listen, I don't care if you're getting $100 less or $200 less than what you think you could get for the rent. If that tenant stays there for 7 years, you made up that money big time versus having 2 turnovers. So, but I do always tell people when they always ask, I say, if you're running your numbers, you should always plan on 3 turnovers in 10 years. First person might leave after a year, next person might stay there for 8 years, and the last person might stay there for 2 years, or 1 year. But that's kind of how I would tell people to plan. And anything you beat on that, that's huge. I know I got a couple properties that I've had 10 plus years now. They're under market, but mortgage is going down fast. So,
Do you have a date or an amount that you want to sell your property at? Like with stocks, I always say, I'm gonna sell it when it hits a certain value, and then I know I've gotten my return. Do you have the same thing with real estate?
no, I think the one thing I've shared in here, I've shared on the podcast is one of my bigger mistakes I've made is I've sold too much stuff. So I think I've erased from my mind altogether selling. And now when, I came out, so we were doing a bunch of stuff, and luckily when the market crashed, I had 3 properties, and I still have those same 3 properties. And the goal was always like, all right, I just gotta get, like, the market's gonna come up a little, I gotta pay this down a little, I'm gonna sell it. But it's like, man, all that like energy and effort, like it came out of pocket, some of it's over the years. It's like, now the values came up, and now rents have gone up 30, 40% on some of those properties. And now I only have like 8, 9 years left in some of that stuff, so mortgage-wise. So it's became, the longer I hold stuff, the more that motivates me to hold stuff. So I think it's really hard if you're only on the first couple of years to really see that, especially when you're paying $40 or $80 towards the principal. That's tough. So I do not think like that.
Same thing with the industrial, on the commercial side?
Yeah, I think so. On the industrial side, it's the same thing. Rents just keep going up with that stuff. And if there's a way to, obviously when we're doing this fund right now, there has to be legal deadlines in it. But like all the industrial guys I've seen, like they had these buildings from the 70s, 80s, like ever since then. So I think it's the same thing. Hold it.
General question. So for 25, they changed the law on credit reports. I'm sure you guys are aware. How basically an applicant can reuse their report for 30 days. How do you guys plan on combating fraud with that?
We haven't figured that all out yet.
Okay.
But there has to be, it stinks with that is it ends up being one of those things of we're just gonna have to go harder with things that are negative on there, or raise our credit score or do something. We have, so the software we use, and one thing that we're trying to figure out with that is we use a company called Findigs right now, and there's a couple other type of companies out there, but we could scan that in and they could detect this has been adjusted. So if someone sends over pay stubs right now and they suck, or they're made up, or they're adjusted, it does say this was on a Word document that was adjusted. So same with bank statements. Man, you look at Bank of America statement, fake, one that's real, man, it's really hard. Yeah. But when you put it through the system, there's a bunch of little kind of things that they understand is make it fake. So
what's that software's name? The software you use?
Findigs, Findigs.
And do you do that with re-up leases? Like the guy in my unit this is gonna be his 3rd year, so when you renew his lease, do you?
No, we do not reapprove people. The only time we'll do that is if somebody's coming in or going off. So if you had two people living there and they got divorced and the husband's leaving, we'd make the wife, we don't call it reapply, but recertify.
Okay.
AppFolio has a similar income verification tool that scans.
They do, yep. AppFolio's got it now too. We work with a lot of things outside. We use AppFolio for our software, but we've used a lot of these other tools outside of it because AppFolio's just been late to the game of kind of getting some of this stuff up and running. Cool. Anything else? You guys are welcome to network. Take donuts, please. Otherwise, my staff eats stale ones on Monday. But I appreciate you guys coming out. Don't forget to grab these books. And yeah, thank you.